local. It's the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The Moose.
You might not be an A, but you are a B plus.
Check it out! Here we go! You wanna mess with us? 'Cause we're steady on the ground,
Alright, ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, welcome to another B Plus podcast. I'm your host, GregUnchained. Today is Friday, you know what that means. It's Aussie Grapps Day here at the B Plus. It's our favourite day of the week, the day we sit down to talk about everything happening in the world of Australian professional wrestling. We also like to sit down and talk to an Aussie Grappler or Grappler adjacent person. This week, I had a bit of a chat with Jordan, the man behind the Aus Wres Gifs account. He's sticking with Res. I tried to convert him to Grapps. It's not happening. Grapps isn't happening, you guys, but I'm going to stick with it. So this week in Aussie Grapps, I speak to Jordan from Aus Wres Gifs ahead of, he's coming out here in October for Coliseum, much like I'm flying up to Sydney for Coliseum, and a lot of us are, really. It's going to be an amazing weekend, but talk to him about that, talk to him about Super Strong Style. We kind of just, we went in with no real questions and just kind of shot the shit for an hour, so hopefully you guys like it. Let us know in the comments what you think. And of course, before we get to that, we do have to touch on what's happening this week in Aussie Grapps news. Starting off, as we so often do, overseas in another part of the world, over in Mexico this week, Adam Brooks and Mecha Wolf 450 represented the Crash. Of course, Adam Brooks, our very own, from down here in Melbourne, the Kingley of Dingley. He teamed up with Mecha Wolf from the Crash. He's done a few dates now in the Crash, and they were representing the Crash on a CMLL show. This is in Arena, Mexico, one of the most famous wrestling venues in the world. They took on Angel de Toro and Niebla Roja, the team representing CMLL, in a Crash versus CMLL match. The match was incredible. It has been rated 4.5 stars by Dave Meltzer, if you're into that kind of thing. And it's basically just a massive, high-flying lucha, incredible showcase of what these guys can do. Adam Brooks looks amazing. They worked heel for the match. It was really good. Definitely check that out, guys. And also overseas at the moment, JXT popped up on my radar. He showed up on Beyond Wrestling, Uncharted Territory. Beyond Wrestling host a weekly live television show now on independentwrestling.tv, IWTV over there. So you can definitely check that one out. It's I think it's $10 a month for a subscription to independentwrestling.tv, and you get all sorts of shows for that. Lots of the WrestleMania weekend shows are up there, which feature some of our talent as well. But yeah, JXT showed up. He was like a fan that got recruited by Orange Cassidy to help him do a body slam. Very interesting seeing JXT show up there. And there are other wrestlers overseas at the moment, but I'm having trouble keeping abreast of everything. I should apologize, by the way, for last week. I didn't get to do the news for you guys last week because I had a tooth pulled out. I had an emergency extraction. I chipped a tooth and exposed a nerve, and I was in all kinds of pain, and I didn't get to really do much. But Mr. Mysterious, of course, big thank you to Mr. Mysterious for filling in for me. But that's all I got across internationally. I'm still catching up on everything as it is. But we do have some internationals coming to Australia, and I'm not just talking about the ones this weekend. We'll get to that in what's happening this weekend. But first, I want to talk about the news. So July 27th, New Horizons Pro Wrestling have announced that Jay Lethal, former Ring of Honor champion, Grand Slam champion in Ring of Honor, I do believe, Jay motherfucking Lethal, does an amazing Macho Man, does an amazing Ric Flair, Impact star, Ring of Honor star. He is coming to our shores exclusively for New Horizons Pro Wrestling, as far as I know. He's the only date announced, July 27th, so if you want to see Jay Lethal, you need to get over to Perth for New Horizons Pro Wrestling on July 27th. We also had the announcement that BCW are bringing out Johnny Impact and Taya Valkyrie. They're coming out with BCW in July. And very interesting, this one. BCW have booked Max Watts as their Sydney venue. I don't know what's going on there. PWA have spent, over a year sort of building up Max Watts as this amazing wrestling venue, which it is. It's fantastic, and they're selling it out now. Hundreds of fans packing hanging from the rafters, hanging signs from the rafters, which is something that, BCW don't have a loyal following in Sydney. So they're pulling 100, 150 people for Lucha Down Underground, I guess, from what I hear. So, but 100 people in Max Watts doesn't look good. It's not going to look good. 400 people in Max Watts looks good. PWA in Max Watts looks good. I'm pretty nervous about BCW running Max Watts and what it's going to look like. But, more power to them. It's a free world. It's a free venue. I'm sure there's no heat there or anything. It's a business. They do what they do. But yeah, it's interesting choice of venue, just sort of swooping in there and booking Max Watts for that one. But speaking of PWA, big news for PWA this week. They are going live for the first time ever. So Wonderful Entertainment, of course, brought the live streaming gimmick over here for using Kling. They used an app called Kling, and they brought live streaming to Australian wrestling. It was very ambitious. And, say what you will about Wonderful, they have that legacy. They do. WrestleRampage picked up on Kling now, and as a result, even though I had my tooth pulled and was in bed with a migraine on pain medication, I was able to watch the WrestleRampage show that I didn't get to go to on May the 4th. I was able to watch Uprising live on my television thanks to Kling. And now PWA are getting in on the live streaming gimmick as well. They're not using Kling. They've actually signed up with OVO Play. So PWA Play, where we used to go to watch all our PWA shows, PWA Play is becoming a thing of the past. Their shows are now being uploaded to OVO Play, which is it's sort of an Australian version of Flow Slam, but Flow Slam didn't work out too well. So let's not talk about that. It's OVO are aiming to bring sort of niche market sports. So they do esports at the moment. They do like marathon running, race car driving, all these sorts of things. And they're aiming to bring niche sports to their streaming network and, capture the audience that way. And they've called the channel Australian Wrestling, which is very interesting. They haven't called the channel PWA. They've called it Australian Wrestling. It's $9.99 a month, or you can buy a week's worth for $5.99. And that includes live streaming and also the back catalog there. So at the moment, all of the PWA Black Label shows are available. I'm hoping that we're going to get more of the PWA back catalog, because that's one of my favorite things, is throwing on, like while I'm working, I'll throw on an old show from The Cube or from Casula Powerhouse, and I'll watch an old PWA show while I work. So I do hope that we get back to that, because I don't really want to have PWA Play for the archives and OVO Play for the current stuff. I'm hoping that it'll all consolidate. And I'm hoping more wrestling companies jump onto OVO Play on this channel, because at the moment I'm paying up to like $70 worth. I talk about this with Jordan too. Paying up to over $70 worth in Australian wrestling streaming, and I'd like to consolidate that down a little. Hopefully some more people jump on the live streaming gimmick, but for now, PWA Once Upon a Time in Max Watts is streaming this Friday night. Tonight, as you listen to this, you have no reason not to get on it. OVO Play. OVOplay.com.au, I believe, is the site. But if you just search OVO in your app store, there's an app there, and it has Google Cast, Chromecast, whatever you call it. So you can, it plays straight to my TV. I've tested it. I've had a bit of a mixed experience signing up, and I've heard this from a few other people as well, that the OVO Play app sometimes isn't working, or the website isn't working, and I've had to do a login loop constantly. And initially, their technical support were awful, but eventually I got in touch with someone on Twitter, in the Twitter DMs, running the OVO Twitter account, and they've been far more helpful than the actual technical support were. So I'm feeling optimistic. At the moment it's working. The last time I logged in it was working, so hopefully it'll stay working until tomorrow night, and I will get to watch this show live, and we'll all get to watch it live. It's available around the world. OVO Play is where you want to go to get your PWA live streaming gimmick happening. Talking about that show, Robbie announced an open challenge this week. So Robbie Eagles, of course, heading over to the Best of the Super Juniors in Japan. Biggest tournament in the world for me. I'm so proud of Robbie Eagles for going over to this one. It's going to be incredible. And before he goes, he said he wants to have one more match at Max Watts before he heads over for this tour. And he's put out a call to anyone in New South Wales on May the 10th. Anyone under 100 kilos, come fight him in the ring. Now, a lot of people are speculating that we'll get maybe a Maddie Wahlberg or a Paris Da Silva, one of his students. I speculated potentially we'll get someone from Interstate, someone like a Nick Golfus making a debut to make a name for themselves, or Eman the Kid making a debut to make a name for themselves, but probably will be. I mean, Maddie Wahlberg doesn't have a spot on this card. Or is Maddie Wahlberg over in the Fale Dojo at the moment? I haven't actually looked to see when he starts with the Fale Dojo. So maybe Maddie Wahlberg is unavailable, but Paris Da Silva doesn't have a booking on this show either. The PWA roster is deep, so they can definitely pull from one of Robbie's students. I'm looking forward to this one. Robbie last week, this is some of the news I didn't get to talk about last week, he had a poll up about shirt colors. We're starting to get to people. We're starting to get to people with our anti-black shirt crusade. He put a poll up. He was just like, should I do this shirt, the Mr. Sparkle, the Mr. Eagles shirt? Should I do this on a black background, or should I do it on a colored tee? And the colored tee won. With, when I checked last, it was 54% of the vote voted for colored tee. So he actually released both. He released it in black and he released it in pink. gonna get me one of them pink motherfuckers. That's amazing. I gotta order it. I haven't yet, but I'm going to because I support non-black shirts. Hashtag black shirts aren't cool. Let's go with that. So Robbie Eagles is getting on board the anti-black shirt. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to have to ask him next time I talk to him whether he's fully on board the anti-black shirt crusade. Maybe I can recruit him. We can get Robbie Eagles and Damian Slater to take on the black shirt cool group. Also, PWA announced the tag team title challengers would be the TMDK team of Mikey Broderick and Slex. Slex is interesting because he doesn't travel a whole lot. He's he's Melbourne based and he stays in Melbourne for the most part. He doesn't get around too often to other states for shows, but heading up to PWA for this Once Upon a Time in Max Watts show is a huge deal, and it's amazing, and we're looking forward to it, definitely. But then Mikey Broderick, unfortunately, broke his hand and was replaced by Damian Slater. So now we've got Damian Slater and Slex representing the team of the Mighty Don't Kneel, taking on the Four Nations. Definitely looking forward to that one. Speaking of the Mighty Don't Kneel, Marcus Pitt is headed to Darwin Pro Wrestling. So, Pro Wrestling Darwin, sorry. Marcus Pitt is headed to Pro Wrestling Darwin. That makes a lot of EPW boys. So Darwin are there. They are going to have some local guys on the show, some new trainees and what have you, but they've also announced, of course, Gavin McGavin, Davis Storm. We know that they have, office level ties with EPW, so it makes sense. A lot of the EPW boys are heading over. Perth is kind of all the way out there and Darwin's kind of all the way up there, so it's nice that they're going to have this kinship and that they're going to share talent. So a lot of EPW boys heading to Darwin. I'm very excited for that. I'm hoping to get up to Darwin. I'm tracking the flight prices, man, and they're not going down, and I'm waiting for a sale because I really want to get up there. That Jetstar sale that I got the tickets to Sydney was amazing, and then they extended it to July, and I was like, yes, I can go, but they didn't extend it all the way through July, so it starts at July 25th, and this show's on July 20th, so I can't get the cheap flights, and I'm really bummed out. So if anyone sees cheap flights from Adelaide to Darwin at all for July, let me know, because I'm on the prowl for those flights for sure. Anyway, moving on, I touched before on the live streaming gimmick and WrestleRampage and how amazing Uprising was, and the fact that I could watch that from my home because I wasn't able to get out to the show because I was sick. The title match on that show was incredible. Everyone needs to check it out. AJ Istria defending the Australian national title against Tommy Knight. It was an absolute banger of a match. And then the next day on Twitter, AJ Istria revealed that he's actually working hurt. He has a PCL and meniscus injury in his knee that he suffered whilst overseas on his recent European tour, which we'll touch on in the interview with Jordan. He mentions AJ Istria as well going over there because he worked at Jordan's local promotion there, North. And yeah, so apparently he's hurt his knee while he was overseas, and he's come back and he worked that absolute banger of a title match, all banged up. And, get well soon, AJ Istria. Hope that you're, doing what you need to do to rehab that knee, because you got more title defenses to come. We want to see you in the ring healthy because you're one of the best that we have in this country. I'm hoping that you get the call up for the Coliseum again. I'm lucky. I get to see AJ Istria every month here with WrestleRampage. So, it's, get well soon, AJ Istria. And the last piece of news I wanted to talk about is a match announcement, actually, that I think could steal the year of show. Could steal the year. This has the potential to be Australian Match of the Year. I'm calling it right now. I'm not saying it will be Australian Match of the Year. We already have, I've got a spreadsheet going with all the matches that I've got down, and at the moment I'm up to 12 matches that I have in my list that I need to rewatch at the end of the year before I can confidently award a Match of the Year. But this one's going down in the spreadsheet, and it hasn't even happened yet. That's how confident I am that this match is going to be amazing. Future Wrestling Australia have announced a title match for Resolution 2 on June 22nd. Sam Osborne defending against Dowie James. So Dowie James coming up to Sydney for this one. This one's at Parramatta RSL. If you are in Sydney, there is no reason to not go to this one. So FWA holds some shows, a bit out of the, perimeter for a lot of people quite often. But this show is at Parramatta RSL, June 22nd. Huge show from what I'm told. Resolution 2. It's going to be a huge show for them. Craven's coming over to have a match with 5-Star Flash. The Future Wrestling Australia roster, I've gushed about it before. They've got an amazing roster. They do what they say. Future Wrestling, they are the future stars. A lot of these guys that are headlining these shows, you're going to see show up on PWA in the near future. I mean, Matty Wahlberg works these shows. Jackson Kelly is on this show. Sam Osborne, of course, he's the champion now. He won that off Matty Wahlberg at the last show. And he made his debut for PWA recently. Sam Osborne, of course, one of my picks at the beginning of the year, 2019. Wrestlers you may not have heard of, but should pay attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. You can go back in the archives and listen to my interview with Sam Osborne. He's an amazing wrestler, and Dowie James, one of the best this country has ever produced. They are going to tear the house down. If you're in Sydney on June 22nd, please, please, please get out to FWA for this. This match alone is going to be well worth the price of admission, and I don't even know the ticket price, so definitely get around it. But with that, let's cut across to my chat that I had with Jordan earlier today. I'll hit you up after the interview with what is happening this weekend near you.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Grapps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, OUTBREAK NUTRITION. OUTBREAK NUTRITION are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at OUTBREAK NUTRITION. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout. All right, joining me now, the man behind the very famous Aus Wres Gifs account. GIFs? GIF. Aus Wres Gif.
GIFs.
GIF.
It's not GIFs.
It's
not
Jordan.
GIFs. Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
So it's officially GIFs.
It's officially GIFs, yeah.
You've ended the age-old debate.
And if anyone wants to disagree with me, they can fight me when I come over in October.
Nice. Maybe we can get a match, like a GIF versus GIF match, as part of the Coliseum presentation.
Let's
if you're
do
listening,
it.
PWA. Yeah.
Yes, let's do it. Anyone who wants.
I bet Unsocial Jordan calls them GIFs.
I bet he does. And this is why he's my profile picture, and it's why I will continue to use him as my profile picture.
Amazing. Yeah. So, how are you, man? How's your week been?
I am tired. Super Strong Style was exhausting.
Yeah, because you went to the big Progress tournament, which I feel like Coliseum is going to become our version of Super Strong Style 16. So
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how was it? How was the Progress weekend?
It was unbelievable. The entire weekend was just ridiculous. Like, tiring. I did 5 shows in 3 days. And
So you did Kaiju?
Kaiju was the best.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the photos to be released because Silver Potato sat on my lap and Cycloptopus smashed a building over us. So
That's amazing. Did it hurt?
no, it was fine. I think I missed the main brunt of the attack. I was
He
kind of
copped
just
it most.
behind it, but it was so funny. That entire show was so funny.
Yeah. Were they using the guys who do it elsewhere, or did they just use local guys in the suits?
They just use local guys.
That's amazing.
I think they do that everywhere. So
Yeah.
they bring the costumes and they use local talent.
Okay, right. So kind of like Lucha Fantastica here
Yes.
do that kind of thing. Yeah.
I believe
That's brilliant.
Chris Brooks was Dr. Cube.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. That's amazing. But the Super Strong Style weekend, like, I'm so happy. Like, people, if you're waiting for it to come up on demand and you don't want spoilers, like, skip the next minute or whatever, like, next 2 minutes.
I'm talking about everything that happened.
David Starr, though, story of the weekend, right? Like, this is an
Yes.
Aussie Grapps show, too, so we should get to Australia soon. But David Starr, holy shit, he's my favorite thing in wrestling at the moment.
He is on fire right now.
Yeah.
Like, on fire. He was the star of the weekend. Outside of maybe Kyle O'Reilly, but Kyle was more in a wrestling sense. But in terms of the entire package, Starr was just on top. And then...
Yeah. I love the story that they're doing, like, because he's kind of like making it us versus them, like indie versus WWE, and like he's the epitome of an indie wrestler right now,
and it's getting over brilliantly. That match, the final against Devlin, they lost their minds when he won.
Yeah,
the place, I thought the roof was going to come down. It was that loud.
That's amazing. I feel like if you want progress to feel punk rock again, David Starr's your guy.
Definitely. Like, especially with the NXT UK and all that kind of stuff, the politics. Like, Starr just coming in and beating NXT UK guys on his way to winning it was just, it was an indescribable moment in progress, I think. It's going to go down in history.
Yeah. We should give him like a similar to what Jordan Devlin did, the import killer gimmick, right, in OTT.
Yes.
You get David Starr doing that with just NXT guys, just slaughtering everyone.
The contract killer.
Yes, I love it. That's awesome. Contract killer. Yeah, no, that's amazing. I want to get over for a Super Strong Style. One of our patron backers, Jules, went over for the weekend.
I met him.
Really?
Yes. We met just after the queue on the first day because I noticed MCW hoodies or t-shirts, one of the two. And
they were rocking the tees. I think the ones that look like the beer. Yeah.
And we kind of caught on Twitter and then met inside. And that was nice.
Nice.
The start of the weekend.
Did he try to take you out for vegan food? That's his thing.
He did not. There wasn't much in the way of that, really, at Strong Style. So
just lots of wrestle talk.
Lots of wrestle talk, lots of socializing.
Do you get many Australian wrestling fans over there? Like, not from Australia necessarily, but from Australia, and also like just within the circles over there, people paying attention to Australian wrestling.
It's growing, and mainly like, and I don't want to toot my own horn, so to speak, but mainly since I've started doing what I do. Yeah. Because I won't shut up about it, so everyone has to listen to me.
Nice.
And because of that, they kind of are a bit more receptive to it. They'll look in, and when we've had, Jonah over here and Brooksy over here, and what else have we had over?
AJ Istria, the Velocities.
Velocities. Madison came over. We got Shazza coming over soon. There's...
Oh, you got Charlie Evans lives over there now.
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
Charlie.
Tony Storm's from out this way.
Tony,
you've had a few of us go over. Travis Banks.
Yes. So it's mainly with the more recent ones. Such as Jonah. Gino as well. Gino was loved whilst he was over.
Yeah.
But since then, it's become a bit more well known, and people are giving it a chance, and it's growing. It's slowly, but it's growing.
I know Big Fudge has a bit of a cult following over there. I've got some friends over there that are very, very into Big Fudge.
Big Fudge is loved. Anytime I bring him up, they are just like... I was at a Fight Club Pro show and somebody came up to me and started talking about Big Fudge, just completely randomly. I was like...
That's amazing. Like, listeners, we're talking about in the UK. Some random person just comes up to you talking about Big Fudge. That's awesome.
It was really, really... I was at day 2, I believe it was, just standing around, and another person, someone who follows me on Twitter, can't remember who quite, but they came up to me and just said, like, I opened their eyes to Australian wrestling. And that meant the world, because that's kind of what I'm trying to do. but also
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, it's getting noticed. Like the hashtag is becoming reality.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's so good, man. We need more people like you, more evangelists out there, and
I'm working
just
on
sort
it.
of shouting from the rooftops. I love it. But so tell us your story. How did you get into it? How long have you been a wrestling fan?
I've been a wrestling fan since I was 3 years old.
Nice.
I
A lifer.
was introduced to the old WWF by my brothers, the Macho Man, Hulk Hogan era.
Right.
Then I became a WCW boy because we had that over here.
Right.
And
Similar to
then-
here, we had more WCW was more readily available for us as well. I used to
Yeah.
like to watch WWF. All I had was Superstars, and it was like I would like tape it on it was either a Saturday or a Sunday night. It aired at like 2 a.m. And so
Yeah.
like I would put the tape in at midnight and hit go, then I'd go to bed and I'd wake up in the morning and fast forward through it to that was to watch Superstars, like the recap show. that was how we had to watch WWF here. We were WCW people here as well.
Yeah, we had Nitro, and it was just hitting. I was like 6 or 7, just as it was hitting peak.
Yeah.
WCW, so those were good times. And then afterwards, WCW dies, WWE comes around, and I did fall out of love with it. In about 2007, 2008.
Right.
Didn't watch it as much, just stuck to WrestleManias. And this is why Super Strong Style was quite an emotional weekend as well. Jimmy Havoc brought me back into wrestling.
Okay, wow. So you came back. So you're one of those stories where you came back into it through the more local indie stuff.
Yes.
Nice.
Specifically seeing Jimmy Havoc's promos on YouTube for Progress, and then going into Progress. So when he said his goodbyes on Monday, that was a bit emotional.
Yeah. All covered in blood.
It was disgusting.
Him, not you.
Absolutely disgusting. Like, I have never seen anything that brutal.
Yeah, well, he went straight to hospital after the match, didn't he? Like, after he said goodbye, he had a beer and went to hospital.
He wanted to go to merch. He was joking about going to merch. Like, no, go to hospital, Jimmy. You have blood spurting out of your head. I'm pretty sure you've got skin hanging off you. Please go to hospital.
Yeah, that's crazy. So your journey with wrestling kind of echoes mine. Mine's pretty much exactly the same, except I got back into it when I heard that, like, CM Punk's at the top now and Daniel Bryan's coming in and stuff. And I was like, man, I used to watch them in like Ring of Honor, like CM Punk versus Raven, like back in the day.
The old days.
And so I was like, I got back into it then. And then I went out and checked out the local stuff, which for me was AWF and PWA and everything, and got into the local scene through getting back into it. But yeah, so you got into like Progress and all that sort of stuff. So you've been kind of an indie wrestling kid since then.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started going to independent wrestling when WCPW started, because they were local, Newcastle based.
Right.
And it had Jay Lethal versus Noam Dar as its main event.
Yeah.
One of the matches on the show. And prior to that, I had anxiety issues, which meant I couldn't go traveling or get really out of the house. I was housebound for like 4 years. So eventually kind of getting out into that world, going to WCPW, and then it all just kicked off from there. So
right. And so sort of getting into the wrestling community was part of helping you overcome the anxieties?
Yeah, it was like a big deal. Progress, especially like when I made it a goal in January of 2017 to get to my first Progress show. And then they announced a Manchester one, which was only a few hours away. So I gave that a punt, ended up going, and then I ended up at about 12 Progress shows in a row after. Ended up in the ballroom, which was great. And it all just kind of kicked off. And the journey went crazy. And then I ended up in Australia.
Yeah. So we'll get to that. So what brought you over to our shores?
I was given the opportunity to go over for a month, and I jumped on it, took it, didn't think about it. And whilst I was there, I was missing Super Strong Style last year.
Right.
So that was quite a big deal, like missing out on something I was really looking forward to. But then,
Yeah.
as that happened, the Progress PWA show was announced. So I decided to go to that.
Okay.
And as part of that, then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to try and hit every show I can in the area for the next month.
Right.
So I
So
ended
that
up-
was where you found out about it, was through the Progress connection.
yeah, through that one show, I kind of looked into it a bit to kind of get in my head around who people were. I already knew a few from when Jonah was over and when Brooksy was over. So I had my idea on a couple, but nothing like major. Didn't know like the likes of Big Fudge or Matty Wahlberg or anyone like that. And then I come to the Star, and I'm full on Team Progress. I'm going to cheer the Progress guys because they're my guys. And by the end of it, I was Australian wrestling. It was all PWA. I was cheering all the PWA guys, like and Robbie Eagles as well. Like Robbie Eagles versus Travis Banks was the only match I wasn't cheering for a Progress guy.
Right.
Because
so Robbie won you over real quick.
Robbie had won me over prior because he was who I was looking at a lot going before I came over. I watched the match with Ospreay because Ospreay is one of my favorite wrestlers. Yeah. And I was just blown away. And so I was like, and also I was doing this thing at the time where I was anti-Trav. Like I didn't, like Trav was not my champion. I was anyone but Trav.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was just like Team Robbie. That's since changed because I was cheering for Trav over the weekend, but it was a good experience at the start, and I ended up at Rock and Roll and Wrestling Go and then New Pro, and everyone was so welcoming that I was like, I need to get these guys known, get them seen, get them some attention. It was very easy to fall in love with such a good scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I say that a lot, like, especially if PWA is your first, or like anyone in that family. Like, I'd even say Wrestling Go, like, if one of those shows is one of your first shows, it's going to be very hard not to love it.
Oh, definitely. Wrestling Go
like, they're just such a fun vibe.
Wrestling Go was one of my favorite experiences out there because at the time they weren't pulling in the 400 crowd they did the other week.
Yeah, 454 they did for Go Olympic Games.
Something crazy like that, yeah. It was like 25 the second night I went, maybe 30.
Right.
It was a small show, but it was one of the best because it was such a good atmosphere, such a family vibe, and they welcomed me with open arms and really made me feel at home.
Who was working those shows, those Wrestling Go shows?
There was a lot of the familiar talent there. They had the Velocities, they had Matty, they had SMS.
Right.
Diego was there.
Yes.
And I got to see Cat Saber Jr., which was hilarious. Loved that.
Meow.
Meow. Who else was there?
Such an underrated gimmick, Cat Saber Jr.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. They had Nikki and Jay as well. Which, the plastics.
Yeah.
Who else? I'm trying to go back through that. My memory sucks, but...
So this was about a year ago. So it was sort of similar to the roster that we're looking at now. But also, they were featuring a lot of the guys that weren't necessarily, like, big on the PWA shows yet.
No, it was...
As well.
A lot of the younger talent who hadn't really made their way into the show yet, but maybe were at, like, crewing. I think Will Kiedis was on the show, but at the time he was doing ring crew for PWA. So
nice. And so since then you've gotten into sort of everything, right? So you started in just Sydney because that's where you were.
Yeah.
But now, like, how did you get into? Did you get into the other stuff first, or did you sort of set that goal? Like, I want these guys to be known, so I'm going to start. Like, how did you come to GIFing as well?
So I came to GIFing because I'm friends with BSS Gifs.
Okay.
So as part of that, I kind of saw, oh, this is doing a lot for British Strong Style. So I'll do it for Australian wrestling. It's a good way to promote Australian wrestling, show people what it's about in a very easy to consume format. So you don't have to write big essays on what's going on. You can just, here's something cool. This is what you're missing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I started with a PWA show on my personal Twitter account. And I was kind of just going to keep it to that, keep it to doing some PWA, do it on my personal account. And then I decided maybe I should go separate and do it on a dedicated account. And that's when I decided to go all in with everything. So bringing in MCW, EPW, WrestleRampage, Wrestling Go, the lot. Try and bring as much in as possible.
Basically, anyone that uploads stuff, you'll try to get to it. Because did you do Pro Wrestling League when they launched their show as well?
Yes, I did some. Yeah. I didn't finish that one, annoyingly.
Right.
Because it gets chaotic trying to fit so much in. I'm still.
Dude, I can't even imagine trying to GIF it all. I just watching it sometimes. There's so much wrestling happening, and even just locally, I'm I think 4 shows behind on my Aussie wrestling at the moment.
I think I'm 7. 7 or 8, and then PWA are live tomorrow, so I've got that.
Yes.
So
yes,
and I also
looking forward to PWA going live.
I also do the New Zealand scene as well.
Oh right, so SPW. I know I've seen you do SPW things, I think, but what? So do you look at IPW or Asylum? Because I haven't even seen any footage from these guys.
I haven't got around to them yet. They're in the long list of different companies I need to do. SPW are just quite readily available, and having all different subscriptions, it's pretty hard to keep up with because it's also expensive to keep up with.
Yeah, I was saying on one of the Facebook groups today, I was saying I hope that because this OVO play that are doing live for PWA tomorrow, they've called the channel isn't called PWA, it's called Australian Wrestling.
Yeah.
So we're thinking maybe they're going to try to sign other promotions onto this OVO play, and I'm like, I bloody hope they do, man.
That would be really good.
Just on Australian Wrestling, I spend upwards of $70 a month for streaming.
That's about the same. It's about 40-50 quid for me, which is around the same.
Yeah, so it's getting pretty brutal because then IWA come out with one, and I'm like, well, I can't not get IWA. I gotta especially because they all have some gems when they get to uploading some of their really old stuff. And Schwa over in Perth, I'm a big fan of Schwa, and not enough people talk about Schwa. So I'm like, I have to
them a lot.
Yeah, they've got a real Chikara-ish vibe on some of their shows. I don't know. It's their shows can be. I don't want to say hit and miss because that's not right. They've got some really good talent. They're sort of like the Wrestling Go to EPW's PWA, I guess you could say, right? Because you got guys like Julian Ward headlining in Schwa while they're sort of mid card in EPW. So it's sort of a similar comparison. Yeah.
I'll have to check them out.
Some wacky stuff.
I do need to get onto them. I haven't seen any Riot City either, and it's so
readily available.
I know, it's just time. It's time and trying to fit everything in, and working a 9 to 5 as well.
Start with it really start with Perea matches in Riot City Wrestling, man.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
So I probably have to. I know there's a match between Perea and the Velocities, Iron Fist.
Yes, Iron Fist, The Way of the Fist, the second show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I also need to check out because that's got Robbie, JK, and E-Man the Kid, which I'm very excited to see. I've seen little snippets.
E-Man the Kid is super underrated. I was so stoked when I found out he was coming here and I had to get him on the show because I'm like, dude, this kid is gonna blow up. I honestly believe that kid will blow up. So
definitely.
He's so much fun to watch. And his first match in Australia, and it's against Robbie Eagles and JK Moody. Holy crap.
Yeah, I messaged him afterwards saying like that's pretty special.
Yeah. He was stoked as well. Like he couldn't believe it. He was like over the moon. It was amazing. There was that show for me personally. I had some issues with that show because I kind of got stuck on the door of that show, and it's a whole thing. But it was so I was kind of sour at the time. I was like, man, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. But like the actual action, like going back and revisiting it on YouTube, the actual action, damn, it was a good show, man.
It's on the list. I've got so much.
Yeah, I'm behind at the moment on Pro Wrestling League. I'm behind on Wrestling Go and FWA.
Mine
I think.
I just put them up.
I just caught up on MCW and PWA. Sorry, MCW and EPW. I just caught up.
I've got to finish off EPW. Then I've got Fallout to watch for Melbourne City. WrestleRampage, I've got to catch up on. SPW just released Battlelines. Then there's WrestleRock, Underworld, Iron Fist.
So no sign behind on Underworld and SPW as well. Now that you mention those, man, it's like a full-time job.
It is. And
then you have to pause and rewind and GIF and do all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a hard life. But someone's got to do
awesome,
it.
Though. You do it for the love, man.
I do it for the
love. Who would you say are your favorites? Can you have favorites? Is that allowed?
I try to be unbiased. I try to be quite sort of central, but I do have my leans, and I think there's no secret to who I lean to as well. I mean, I'm coming to Australia to go to Coliseum. I'm obviously a PWA fan.
Yes,
PWA are probably the one true love of Australian wrestling for me.
Yeah. I feel the same, man. PWA, like that was when I went to like locally, because they were local for me. I used to live in Sydney. Now I live in Adelaide. And yeah, when I went out to my first PWA show, I was like, oh, wow, Australian wrestling can be great.
Yeah. Right.
Like I'd gone to AWF shows and like I'd seen, I think the first time I saw Jack Bonza was at an AWF show and he called me fat. I think the first time I'm never going to let that go, by the way. Every time I mention it, I mentioned that he called me fat. And Shazza McKenzie was on the same show. And so like AWF shows, like they had some good talent, but the shows themselves weren't great shows necessarily, if you get what I'm saying. But then I went to a PWA show. Yeah. And I went to a PWA show and I was like, oh man, like this is like the show is good. And that was back when they were at what was the venue, man? It was in Campbelltown. It was not a great place.
Was it the Casula?
Yeah, Casula Powerhouse. Yeah, that's it. Casula Powerhouse. And I also saw them at the Cube a couple of times, I think. So yeah, I know, but it was they still put on amazing shows though, and that was what hooked me in, and that was sort of that's my love as well with Australian wrestling, PWA all the way. Yeah,
I also have a love for SPW just because they are doing some really cool stuff, and I think a lot of it for me comes from who are big supporters of the account as well. So like I've got the attachment to the the wrestling and the content, but also those who really try to help with what I do. So like SPW have been big supporters, WrestleRampage are big supporters. And again, I love what they do. They remind me of my home promotion North in what they do.
With WrestleRampage?
Yeah, WrestleRampage, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
And then you've got the quality of MCW, and you've got, so I'd say if I was to do my top three, I would say PWA, SPW, WrestleRampage, just because of the combination of content and sort of
community,
affection and community for it.
Right.
But you got to look at where favorites are as well.
Yeah. Well, with MCW as well, like I feel like the MCW community is very like they're very vocal, like MCW is the best. And I think it's definitely the most visible, but I don't know if I can call it the best. And like when I went there as well, I didn't feel as welcomed at the MCW show as I did at others until I got like piss out, like completely out of my head drunk. And then I was like, everyone, it's all love. So Maybe that's the secret.
Was
with
that by
MCW
chance
is-
at a WrestleRock show? Because
No, that was the next day. Yeah, but
I've heard
WrestleRock was
stories of
amazing. WrestleRock. Is there a WrestleRock running when you're down here in October?
I have no idea, but I really hope so.
I hope for your sake that they are.
I'm only in Melbourne for 4 days, so
Oh, wow. Tight window.
so I'm hoping there's stuff going on.
Mikey
What?
J, if you're listening, move things around.
All of them?
Accommodate. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So when's your what is your big Aussie trip? So you're coming over here for Coliseum. I'm going up to Sydney for Coliseum too. So we'll meet
Yes,
each other there.
that
But
would
where
be
else are you? Where else are you hitting up? What other shows are you looking for?
I start in Perth. I fly over on the 5th, so I land on the 6th, and then I'm in Perth for a few days. I don't think there's any shows planned during then because it's weekdays. So it's unlikely. Then I go to Melbourne for a weekend, which I'm hoping there's something on. Then Adelaide for a couple of days, which again, that's just going to be if you want to catch up, I'm here kind of thing.
Nice.
And then finishing up in Sydney with Coliseum weekend. So I only really
Cool.
have 2 shows at least with the Coliseum shows. And then if WrestleRock or MCW or Underworld are running something in October, when I'm there, they'll be there.
Yeah.
And if there's
Well, there will
happens
be
to
something on.
any
There will be
midweek shows-
something on in Melbourne. There will be something
Yeah.
on in Melbourne. There's something on in Melbourne every weekend, and at like the very least, PCW, who don't get talked about enough either. PCW run every weekend.
That works. I don't
Yeah,
think I
so
leave until Monday, so I've got a few days.
Yeah, PCW have like Friday and Saturday shows that they do every week. So it's like really unique in Australian wrestling. They run weekly shows, and sometimes twice a week. Friday is like their students show, and Saturday is like their proper show. And they use those shows to build to the big shows. And like they pulled 2,000 people to that basketball arena.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. That was the one
Yeah.
where was it Sid Parker and I don't remember his partner's name.
Sid Parker and Wake, I think.
Did the Canadian Destroyer off the ladder?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was-
with the RB4K guys. Yeah.
Yes, that was ridiculous.
Yes, it was. So that wasn't you, that GIF.
No, that was just a video. I think it was a video. someone
Okay.
took of the crowd.
Right, yeah. It was a short video, yeah. But no, they're talking about getting a streaming service up too. So that's another $10 a month when they do it. They're testing, like they did on their Facebook Live. They did a lot of Facebook Live tests and stuff because they're preparing to do a streaming service as well. So there's going to be more for you because PCW is going to have some difficult stuff. Royce Chambers, who when you watch the Iron Fist show, he'll be one of the highlights, especially for gifting. He just is insane. They call him the Airbender.
Oh, that's a good nickname.
Yeah, and he lives up to it, man. Like, believe me, he's 9 to 5. He works at a trampoline joint.
Oh, then he's going to be Flippy, which is perfect. I love Flippy.
Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to actual wrestlers, that's your big thing, the flippy shit.
Mainly, when I used to watch Nitro, it was the cruiserweights. So
Yes,
my 2 idols, I'd say, in terms of wrestling back in the day, were Jushin Liger and Juventud Guerrera.
Nice.
And I actually got the opportunity to see both of them wrestle, which was cool.
Yeah, and Juventud's doing the juice thing where he acts like
Juiced.
The Rock now.
That was like, it was surreal seeing Juventud Guerrera and others in Newcastle, England.
Yeah.
In a World Cup tournament. I saw Drago and Pentagon and Phoenix in the same day, and that was just weird.
That's amazing. And it's starting to get like that here too. It's starting to get like that, like just the random. Like I saw the Headbangers on a show, dude. The Headbangers
That's
on a show over here, and like X-Pac was on that same show, and so
man.
was Zack Sabre Jr. and Jonah Rock.
That's a crazy lineup.
Yeah, like it was so good. World Series Wrestling, I think that was a while ago, like a year
I saw
ago. Yeah.
Victoria at Wrestling Go when I was there.
Nice.
So-
Yeah. See what I mean? It's amazing. Like some of the random stuff. Like I think Scarlett Bordeaux is coming over soon for Hunter Valley Wrestling and stuff. Like it's getting crazy, the stuff that actually makes its way here. Lucha Down Underground, like they do like full tours with like Lucha guys.
That looks
It's
good.
amazing. Yeah. So there's a lot going on, but getting back to the flippy shit, right? The flippy shit. So Lucha
Yes.
Underground would be great for you too. But
I love
is-
Lucha Underground.
let's talk about Paris de Silva, right?
Yes,
the GIF
let's.
gold mine.
Paris to GIF.
Was he your first one that went viral?
Yes. My two most popular GIFs are his Shooting Star DDT and Shane Thorne being stabbed by Rhea Ripley's jacket.
Not the. I thought it would be the One Direction guys.
No, surprisingly not.
Wow.
But yeah, Paris's first Shooting Star DDT was the first one to go like into the
Just
multiple
bonkers.
hundreds.
Yeah.
And some of the people who were retweeting that was crazy. Pretty sure Joey Janela did.
Nice.
So, like some of the likes on it, like that got some good attention. Paris's attack one didn't really get numbers, like the same numbers, but it got a lot of attention over here in the UK.
Right.
Just because he did it in attack and everyone lost their minds.
Right. Because there would have been at least a certain contingent of the crowd that are like, wait, this is the guy that did the Shooting Star DDT.
Yeah, it's like
there would have been people that knew.
There were a lot of my friends there who I've raved to Paris about Paris too, and these are the Velocities are coming. They're at attack. Everyone like enjoy it and tell me how they are. And then he goes and busts out the Shooting Star DDT, and I like watching it back. Like I got about 10 messages the moment he did it, like just literally just saying Shooting Star DDT in all caps.
Nice.
So they did well. And again, like one of the not to go too far off the Paris discussion, but during that tour, Jude got a lot of love as well. Because when you think the Velocities like Paris, he gets all like the viral. He's the viral one, but
he's the viral guy. Yeah,
you forget. You've got to forget. You can't forget about Jude. Like
no,
they're a team, and anyone after who saw that who was like for example, people were saying to the North owners over here, book Paris and stuff, and I was like, no, if you bring Paris in, you've got to bring Jude too.
Yeah, they're an amazing tag team. Like great singles as well, but yeah, as a unit, I think they're stronger as a unit.
Yeah, they were one of the first teams to hook me as well.
Yeah.
Like they do some crazy stuff.
I think they may be the best tag team in Australia. I don't know. It's the tag team scene here is so hotly contested. But like them, Brat Pack, Perea. Like, there's so many great tag teams in this country. Untouchables, Street Gang Hooligans.
The Street Gang Hooligans were popular. I was in the queue for Progress, and we watched Street Gang Hooligans versus the Brat Pack from Fallout. And instantly, the people I was with just latched on to the Street Gang Hooligans. As soon as Alex did his skateboard dropkick, that was it.
Yes. Which, by the way, that's a move I used to do when I backyard wrestled. Right? Like, I'm not saying he stole it, but totally stole it. That's my move.
I saw a lot of skateboard stuff over the weekend. Darby Allin was there, so.
Nice. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, so going viral, though, is it weird? Like, do you have to turn your notifications off? I haven't experienced it yet myself. I chose the wrong format. I chose long form audio. that was a mistake.
The notifications thing's interesting because of the time zones. Whenever I put something up, it doesn't really catch on until I go to bed. So my phone's in Do Not Disturb, so I don't get any of the vibrations or anything like that. But I wake up to just a stream of notifications. So
that's crazy. Because most followers would be in Australia then.
Yes, I think it's like something like 52% of my followers are in Australia, and then split out between the UK, US, and I believe Peru. There is a follower. Okay.
See, for us, it's really weird looking at the podcast stats. I'm about the same. I'm only about 52% Australia, and then it's a split between the UK, America, and Iran.
Of course.
Like, there's just Iranians, hi, Iranian fans listening to Australian Wrestling Podcast. I have no idea how or why. It's crazy.
Oh, we're down to 51% for me. So
Oh, wow.
we're expanding. Global expansion is coming.
Yeah, well, and that's what it's about, right? So it was the Now We Conquer thing that sort of got you going, and that's the goal, right? Is to spread Aussie wrestling.
It was originally You're Gonna Notice Us when I first started. Mick brought that one out, and then when Now We Conquer hit, that was like all we all needed. I think like the Now We Conquer hashtag is just taken on so well, and everyone's on board. And it is the goal is to. I want that stat of the audience to be like less Australia, more international, because like we all know what Australian wrestling's like in Australia. Like that's kind of the, that's why it's doing so well locally. But success comes in the international stuff. So we need here in the UK to notice, we need the States to notice, we need Canada, Japan, all those guys. They need to get on board.
Absolutely.
And
well, I want more Australians to notice as well, because I want it to break. Like I want us to get to a point like New Zealand, SPW are on TV now.
Yeah.
Well, they're about to be very soon. And I want that here.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That would be sick. Like national success is important as well. Like as much as international success. And you see with the PWA Max Watch shows selling out, and MCW doing so well, and PCW with that crazy arena show, and like
they outdrew New Japan, dude. They outdrew New Japan, and that's just local people. Yeah,
that is good. That is really good.
Yeah,
that's the power. That's like the power and the momentum behind it all. And I think this is why, we're noticing this shift, and the Australian scene is being more noticed, is because it's doing so well, and there's so much good stuff happening. Like I saw a tweet the other day about how Progress and Brit Rest as a whole is kind of becoming a little bit sedated, and the momentum's being lost in a way, and it's not the same as it used to be. And I think,
and people will blame WWE for that a lot.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of blame towards that. But I think it's because the momentum is shifting elsewhere. There's other places that are doing so much good stuff that you're looking at the
vying for attention.
Yeah, and it's so easy to find now. Like every major Australian company has some form of on-demand service.
Yeah,
and then in America, you've got the likes of GCW blowing up.
My favorite indie promotion at the moment, GCW.
They
just announced Warp Tour, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Really?
My childhood. Yeah, dude. They're not on the whole thing. They're only on like 2 dates or something. But that's really where it starts, bro.
That's so cool. Like that's what happened for Progress. Progress were on Download Festival,
right?
A few years back, and then NXT UK took that. Well, NXT and then NXT UK now. But that's where Progress, got some mainstream attention because they were on Download Festival. So that's going to go really well for GCW.
Yeah, and I'm keen for that.
But yeah, like all that kind of stuff, I just see the momentum shifting, and we're going to see more and more big stuff happen, and it will happen. I want to see a day where PWA shows sell out like the Progress shows used to. Yeah,
definitely.
And I think it could happen. Like, I really think it could happen.
I don't think we're far off it, man. Because, like, I know you don't necessarily know a lot about our, like, local media landscape or whatever, but, like, just looking at, like, the way it's been covered on shows like The Project or, just regular news and stuff, the way it's been covered recently compared to a couple years ago, it's been taken way more seriously and respectfully. And, like, Triple M are a big part of it as well. You got Nashi up in AWA, he does ring announcing for AWA, and he's a Triple M guy. Seb Costello, of course, and then Rose and Gale, and they're Triple M guys. So these radio guys, and that sort of gives it, like, a lot of people don't like the Triple M guys' involvement in Australian wrestling, but they're actual fans, and they actually love the product and support the product. And so when they're out there evangelizing, like they have a Triple M wrestling podcast now.
That's
right.
good.
So I can no longer claim to be Australia's biggest wrestling podcast because Triple M fucking scooped me. But, but they, it's amazing because it's legitimizing it in the mainstream. Like people are no longer being like, oh yeah, Australian wrestling. All right. Like people are like, oh yeah, I've heard about this or whatever. And they're more open to it. It's incredible.
Yeah. Like,
so it's definitely shifting.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great to see. Like, I love just watching it grow as well. Like,
yeah,
it's a really
watching
special
from
thing.
afar.
Watching from afar.
You're thrown over there in Newcastle upon Tyne.
It's nothing special, this throne. Like, it's usually rainy and grey. I'd much prefer to be back in sunny Sydney.
Well, we're looking forward to having you in October. I'm definitely looking forward to grabbing some drinks and stuff. Like you'll be in Adelaide, and then we'll go up together almost because I'm going up for Coliseum as well.
Yeah, I'm going up on Thursday.
Me too. If you're on a Jetstar flight, I'm going to lose my shit.
I have not booked flights yet. That's the problem.
Oh, there you go.
Still
yeah.
in the
See, I booked my flights. Oh man, I should have sent you the link. I didn't know. I thought you already had everything planned. Jetstar had a sale the other day, dude. I got my return flight for $100.
Man, I don't want to book any of the domestic flights until I've got the international flights booked.
Yeah, that makes sense. You should probably get on that.
I'm in the planning stages. I'm hoping to have it all sorted by July.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of time. October's still a while away. It's just that there was a sale, and I was like, yes, $100. That's amazing. So anyone listening who wants to go, Jetstar extended their sale. So anyone listening, there is a sale on the moment at Jetstar if you want to get tickets to fly up to Sydney for Coliseum or down wherever you are.
And
that's
please
the way
do come say hi. I will need all of the friends that I can get because I'm going to be miles away from home. And I mean, I'm going to be busy anyway. I'm going to be enjoying the moment. But
I'm sure a lot of people are going to recognize you and take you in. So I think
I'm
you'll be
hoping
fine.
so. Like, I'm like, it's funny if you follow me on my personal, which is just at Jordan Swinburne for anyone who wants to. My little handle thing is Social Jordan, which is obviously a play on Unsocial Jordan, but also a name.
Isn't it surprisingly social, Jordan?
It's currently surprisingly social because I was surprisingly social over Super Strong Style Weekend.
Right.
But it was a name bestowed to me by Shaz McKenzie because, Shaz are an unsocial Jordan. I was being a social Jordan because I was talking to everyone, so that's how that came about. But it's actually an oxymoron because I am the least social person there is.
Yeah.
So hence surprisingly social Jordan because, man, I did some crazy stuff over Strong Style Weekend.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Let's we should probably wrap up. We've been talking for 40 odd minutes. I don't know how this is going to play because this has kind of just been a conversation, just catching up. But it's good. I love it. Before you go, I want to get you a few questions though.
Go on.
All right, because there's some hot topics here at the B+. Now, we called our show the Aussie Grapps show.
Yeah.
Right. Where do you stand on Res versus Grapps?
I'm a Res guy. I used to be a Grapps guy because it was the big thing in British wrestling.
Right.
It comes from.
See, I didn't know that when I named my show. Just for people listening who still don't believe me, I swear I didn't know that the British people went through a Grapps phase. I had no idea.
Oh, we're still in it. Like, it's still a thing. Like, it's been that way since the 80s because it used to be the thing on World of Sport. It was Grapple fans. So,
because for me, I listen to podcasts, and so I listen to the BritRes Roundtable.
Yeah.
And I've always heard it referred to as BritRes. And I was like, well, I don't want to call myself Aus Wres because I don't want to feel like I'm ripping them off. So I'll call myself, I don't know, Aussie Grapps. There we go. Go out to the Grapps, get some grappling happening. Like, I was like, that sounds Aussie to me.
That's
apparently
the thing.
not.
The overall community is BritRes. But when you go to a show, you're going to the Grapps. That's the thing over here. Like, we wouldn't call it like Brit Grapps. It's BritRes. Like, it's the BritRes community, but you go to the Grapps. But I used to be on board, but I kind of changed. Like, I saw some of the debate over in Australia about it, and I kind of started leaning towards wrestling or just Res.
Yeah, is it because Master Jake Andrew Arthur could kick your ass? Is that why? Because I won't back down.
I mean, he could, but like, I like to think he likes me, so.
But I've said that if I could get you on board with Grapps, then I feel like everyone else would come around. But it's
No,
not
because then I'd have to be
so...
Aus Grapps Gifs, and I'm Aus Wres Gifs.
Yeah, but then it alliterates. It alliterates.
Nah, I prefer Aus Wres.
Ah,
I'm going to
fine.
stick to Aus Wres. It's like, this is like Gifs versus GIFs. And,
Yeah,
you know, if we need to
you
have
have a
that,
preference or you don't.
if we need to have that match on the Coliseum weekend, we'll have it.
Yeah. See, I don't have a preference even. Like, I just called it Aussie Grapps because I didn't want to rip off BritRes. Like, that was the only reason. Like, I don't prefer it necessarily, but at this point, I've sort of dug my heels in and I'm kind of stuck with it. Like, I've got over a year of podcasts with this branding, so
Right.
I kind of can't go back now. The
Own
other
it,
thing, though,
make it yours.
it's Aussie Grapps, man. Aussie Grapps all the way. I love it. The other thing I wanted to get your take on is Black Shirt Cool Group, right?
Right.
They've sparked a bit of a debate about whether black shirts are actually cool. I know that that's not their whole thing. I've gone over this a million times, but where do you stand on black shirts in wrestling? Overdone? Should we have more color?
I don't.
Or are you a fan?
I don't complain at color. Like, more color would be good. I mean, I prefer more of like a white or a neutral color as opposed to the big neon ones like the yellow or the pinks. But
Right.
you know, I'm also more into like the punk rock scene, so
Yeah.
black shirts and metal and everything like that kind of go hand in hand. And
Yeah, see, I feel like I'm the same like with metal too. I'm like, I want more like purple metal shirts, you know? Like, I just feel like black's just too standard.
I'm okay with it. Like, I wouldn't complain at more different colors, but I'm okay with the black shirts, and they are pretty cool.
Diversity is our strength.
Most of my favorite shirts are black.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
the Robbie Eagles shirt, the Now We Conquer shirt, the legendary now legendary Robbie Eagles shirt that I own, is black. So
Wait, you have a legendary Robbie Eagles shirt?
yeah, it's got a really fun story attached to it.
Okay.
It's
Hit
traveled.
us. What is it?
It's traveled around. I think it's 24,000 miles to get to me.
Okay.
Because, and Robbie's going to hate me for this. I bought the shirt in December, and I received it at Dream Tag Team Invitational Weekend for Fight Club Pro,
Right.
which was April.
Okay.
So, you know, I think just with Japan and all the shows going on, it was just kind of lost in the shuffle of it all. But
Okay, yeah. So it was like in the bottom of the bag,
yeah, it was
like waiting to get sent. Yeah.
it was originally going to be sent over with a bunch of WrestleRampage shirts that I bought, but
Okay.
there was some miscommunication there. Then I was talking to Robbie, and he was going to try and get it posted over. Then my roommate was in Australia, so we were going to get posted to them. And then it ended up going to New York, being given to Charlie Evans, who gave it to me at a
Nice.
Fight Club Pro show. So
Amazing.
that shirt traveled, I don't even know how long, but I think it was like 20.
Which Robbie shirt is it?
It's the Jezrai Now We Conquer shirt with
Okay,
the
nice.
sniper rifle.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably going to become my go-to for shows now because it's so on brand.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful shirt as well. And that's the thing too. I hate it when people come out with a really nice black design, and I've sort of dug my heels in with this black shirts thing. I'm like, nope, black shirts aren't cool. We need more color. I'm going to support people who bring out color in wrestling shirts. So like, you know, Damian Slater, you know, he releases the green Slaterade, and I'm like, I'm on it. He's got the Navy TMDK World Beater. I'm like, I'm on it. You know, Robbie Eagles with the white shirt, I'm on it. But when they bring out a black shirt that's really cool, like the new Robbie one with the Bullet Club one, the
Yes,
Robbie Bullet Club
that's
shirt,
so sick.
and I'm like, man, I want that shirt so bad, but it's black. I've dug my heels in. I can't do it.
It
Or,
kind of the whole
Richie Taylor's
Yeah.
beard shirt too. Oof.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Like
I think
I've
I'm gonna get it.
I've kind of got this aesthetic going on of like, you know, I'm always wearing black. Like I have, like, if you see me at a show, and you'll see in October, even though it's probably going to be really hot, so I can't do the whole thing. But if you see me at a show, I'm usually wearing some black shirt, my Underworld jacket, and
Yeah.
you know, black jeans kind of thing. So I'm pretty much dressed in
Yeah,
black and red.
I've seen a few photos. You're quite often rocking the black is the new green shirt under the Underworld. hoodie.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's usually some form of Australian wrestling shirt. Like, it's kind of live the gimmick. So
Yeah, amazing. I love it. I love it. And if people want to see these photos, we should wrap up. If people want to see these photos, where can they find you online, my brother?
They can find me on @Jordan Swinburne, which is my full name. There's a link in the Aus Wres Gifs bio somewhere. Or you can search surprisingly Social Jordan at the moment and get it. They're usually in there. You can see me in the Brit Rest Ninja costume that I had at Super Strong Style, which was crazy. You've got Aus Wres Gifs, which is the main one. Follow that. If you're not following it, please do. We need to support the scene. And I'm also on Facebook as well and Instagram, but I barely use it. So
awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
No worries. I'm happy to finally be on, and also being my podcast debut.
Oh, is this your first podcast?
This is my first podcast.
Happy to have you. Happy to have you.
You got
I'm bummed out. I'm bummed out for you that Conco and the Fudge are calling it a day.
Or are they?
Or are they? Well, what?
Spoilers.
What?
Spoilers.
No, the podcast drops tomorrow morning. I think they said it was dropping before.
It dropped today.
It dropped today. Oh, I haven't listened then.
This is awkward.
So did they swerve us? They're not calling it a day.
Right. They made me cry for nothing.
Jerks. What are they? They're rebranding.
No, they're not. They're right. I apologies for spoiling this for you, but by the time it goes out, everyone's probably going to have heard it anyway.
Yeah.
They are just saying,
and if you haven't, like, I always put a link in the show notes. Go listen to Conco and the Fudge anyway. So when they release one, so it's
Fair
fine.
Enough.
Yeah.
They're not saying goodbye to the show. They're just saying goodbye to the Star Bar.
Oh. Freaking jerks, man! They swerved us all. Because
I put out that thing about it being my dream to be on Conco and the Fudge, and we've talked about it before.
Yeah, we have.
And so when the farewell happened, I was like, "Oh, that's sad," and like I actually did get a bit upset over it. And then I listened to the podcast, and they did that swerve, and I instantly into the DMs, straight into the DMs, and I was like, "You fuckers."
You jerks. Yeah. No, because I was sad for you. And that was actually the catalyst for me being like, we need to do it this week, man. Because Conco and the Fudge are going away. And I've always talked to you about coming on the show and we haven't done it. So let's just fucking do it, man. And I don't want to, one day I'm giving up the podcast and I never got to talk to Jordan on the show. And now they're not even giving up, but it's fine.
Yeah.
That's
now,
good news. That's actually good news.
I think because they made me so upset and they swerved me so badly, I think they have to have me on now.
They have to. Of course they have to.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
And
you're everyone here's favorite GIF account. So, they've got to have you on. You equal ratings.
I would like to, however, whilst I'm on, I would like to shout out a couple of other GIF accounts, if that's okay.
Yes, do it.
Because
of
I'll
course,
look after the GIF family. You've got BSS GIFs, British Strong Style GIFs. You have Women's Wrestling GIFs.
Yes. Hi, Nick.
Nick. Yep. You've got Throwback Wrestling GIFs by my friend Ben. Anti-Fun GIFs for the Anti-Fun Police, if that's your thing. And
nice.
@_crossing_over does a lot of MCW GIFs as well. So
yes, I have noticed those ones because anytime I see a GIF, I assume it's you. But I've noticed a lot of women's wrestling GIFs and crossing over as well. And I think there's one other that I don't even remember because I always just assume it's you.
There's loads. I've done that spreadsheet. I've got like the GIF family spreadsheet.
Nice.
So,
people check that out as well.
Check all them out
because it's an amazing way to support wrestling, and it's so new.
Oh yeah, it's like a really, really good way.
Awesome.
Just nice and easy, quick, and you can see all the best bits.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show, man, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in October. Hey.
Yeah, looking forward to meeting you. We'll catch up in Adelaide and then also Coliseum. And anyone else who wants to say hi whilst I'm out, please come do.
Yes.
Melbourne, Adelaide, Sydney. Boom.
Do it. So there you have it. Jordan from Aus Wres Gifs. Amazing dude. We just sat down with no plan and just shot the shit. And we ended up going for way longer than I originally planned to. But that's okay. It was a really fun discussion. I really enjoyed talking to Jordan. And the door is open. He can come on the show whenever he wants. Of course, he is coming to Australia in October. I hope that everyone in the Australian wrestling community welcome him with open arms. I'm sure we all will because he's a bit of a superstar already with that Aus Wres Gifs account. Very much looking forward to meeting him in October. And if you like that interview and you want to hear other interviews with Aussie grapplers or grappler adjacent people, there are other places you can do it. This week, Lobo, Australian wrestling legend Lobo, showed up on The Turnbuckle. The Velocities stopped by Wrestle Radio Australia. Conco and the Fudge do a Q&A style format for their latest show, which, spoiler alert, we heard the spoilers when we were talking to Jordan. They're not actually ending the podcast. They swerved us all. Bastards. Anyway, Jack Bonza was on the Top Rope podcast for Triple M last week, so definitely go check that one out as well. Links will be in the show notes. And things to watch this week, man. MCW dropped Fallout and WrestleRock both on the Vimeo service. SPW have released Battlelines. WrestleRampage Uprising is up there for you to check out as well. Definitely get around those. Some great promos this week as well. Big Fudge had a trip to Canberra to learn all about being a leader. Haven't seen much in the way of promotional material from Treehugger Lucci. Vote 1 Lucci. Vote 1 Lucci. Vote 1 Lucci. If you are listening to this, if you are attending Max Watts, someone please vote 1 Lucci for me. Put a ballot in for me. Sign it GregUnchained, because don't throw garbage into the ocean, guys. Just Fudge, I love you, but garbage, ocean, not good. Not good. But anyway, Big Fudge did go to Canberra this week to learn how to be a leader. He stopped by some ice cream shops as well, which is, always entertaining. All the content PWA has put out this week, hype packages and such for the main event. PWA's video content is amazing. We all know this. It's second to none and definitely worth checking out. So just have a scroll through the PWA page for that. That's what to watch this week. PWA. This weekend, of course, huge weekend in Melbourne, huge weekend in Sydney. Let's break it down. Starting across the pond in New Zealand, Asylum Pro Episode 3 Fight Kingdom takes place this Saturday at Papahoo at the YMCA in Christchurch. The Alpha Elite Charlie Roberts takes on JK Moody. Will Stone goes one-on-one with the Spartan Sam Black. And a 25-person Fight Kingdom Rumble match takes place. All this and more. Tickets start at $10. In Queensland, VPW present Aftermath at the Showman's Club in Yatala. Night Terrors and Anti-Venom clash in non-title action. Sebastian Matters takes on Renegade. Rip Riley and Jackson Cross go one-on-one. Tim Cade confronts Spaceman Dacey, and Aria Rain challenges Fatali's VPW Women's Championship. Tickets start at $10. In my home state of South Australia, Pro Wrestling South Australia present Hardcore Mania 7 from their new home in Modbury North. Twisted Black defend their tag team titles in four-way tag team action with Mexican Space Typhoon, The Academy, and Blunt Force Trauma. Ace Wilson goes one-on-one with Doc Kincaid in a strap match. Colossus and Scorn go to war in no DQ action for the Adelaide Open Championship. And the PWSA title is on the line when Acid Hayes defends against Lil Onyx in Falls Count Anywhere action. Tickets start at $15. In Western Australia, Southern Hemisphere Wrestling Alliance hosts Trial by Fire at the Don Russell Performing Arts Centre on Saturday night. Delcano defends his Pride Championship against a mystery opponent. The Perth K9s take on Mazdek and Oz in tag team action. Harm's Way defend their tag titles against the Warn Bros. Jeremiah Kingsley defends the Schwa heavyweight title one-on-one against Deli Dud Singh, and much, much more. Tickets are $15. In Victoria, as I said, big one in Victoria this weekend. Melbourne City Wrestling are insane. They're having a crazy May. They're doing like 4 shows in May. It's insane. They had WrestleRock last week. This week, of course, MCW and Moondog Brewery present Brewery Brawl at the Moondog Craft Brewery as part of Good Beer Week. Gino Gambino takes on Dowie James. DCT and Mike Burr continue their rivalry in a Scottish rules match, which I can only assume is DCT deciding the rules as he goes. Indy Hartwell takes on Millie McKenzie. Jet and Jordan challenge the Brat Pack for the MCW Tag Team Championships. Avery and Session Moth Martina are set for one-on-one action. And Slex defends his MCW World and Intercommonwealth Championships against Lockie Hendricks. Tickets are $30. Then on Sunday, MCW and Eevees present GIRL4 at Eevees Disco Diner. These shows just keep getting better. Erica Reed takes on Chanel Phoenix. Tali returns to take on Vixen, and Lena Cross, one of my picks for 2019's wrestlers you may not have heard of, but should definitely pay attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and do other stuff good too, makes her Melbourne City debut, taking on Kellyanne. I'm fairly sure everyone that I picked for wrestler to pay attention to has made a debut in Melbourne City Wrestling since I made that podcast. No. Xander Sullivan is yet to make his debut. Xander Sullivan. MCW, pick up your game. Xander Sullivan. Get Headstrong down. Get Headstrong down. Anyway, Lena Cross, she's one of my picks for that podcast. She makes her debut in Melbourne City, taking on Kellyanne. And of course, Avery and Millie McKenzie go one-on-one. Much, much more. Tickets are $25. In New South Wales, of course, we've talked about it a few times now. On Friday night, PWA present Once Upon a Time in Max Watts, streaming live on OVO. So keen to be a part of a PWA live experience again. Xena and Michael Spencer team up to take on the Babes, Carter Deems, and Session Moth Martina, who I can only assume is an honorary babe for this match. She definitely fits the profile. Caveman Ugg defends the PWA title against the godfather of Australian Pro Wrestling, Davis Storm. The most important election of 2019 takes place in the hallowed halls of Max Watts as Tree Hugger Lucci and Big Fudge finally find out who the PWA audience have voted into office for the Sanitation Commissioner role. SMS Tyler Payne and Richard South take on Black Shirt Cool Group duo of Concrete Davidson and Party Boy Jax. Jessica Troy takes on Millie McKenzie. Robbie Eagles hosts an open challenge, and of course in the main event, TMDK, represented by Slex and Damian Slater, will take on the PWA Tag Team Champions, the finalists in the first ever Coliseum tournament, Brothers in Arms, Jack J. Bonza and Mick Moretti, the Four Nations, in an attempt to wrestle away those tag team titles and prove once and for all that they are the better faction. This is an incredible card. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, whether you're in Sydney and attending Max Watts or not. I think the show is already sold out. If not, tickets are $30 and they're up on the balcony at this point. The floor section is definitely sold out. But the balcony have a great view. Very great view. So definitely check it out if you're in Sydney. If you're not in Sydney, get on the streaming gimmick. If the show's sold out, get on the streaming gimmick. OVO Play. We want that to succeed. We want more Oz Wrestling live streaming. And that's it. That's this weekend in Australian wrestling. So get around it. Check it out. Go out to a show. Buy a ticket. Boo the bad guys. Cheer the good guys. Buy a shirt. Support the boys and girls that make up the Australian wrestling community. And, have a beer. Have some fun. Get around it. That's what we're all about here at the B Plus Podcast. If you like what we do and you want to support us, head to patreon.com/the B+. Every dollar you spend will go to, growing this community and trying to make this show bigger and better so that we can have a bigger platform for our Aussie grapplers and grappler adjacent people to get out there and, evangelize and spread the word. Like Aus Wres Gifs said, we want to grow the thing and we want to grow the thing too. So definitely get around that. The bplus.com. Patreon.com/the B+. Of course, you can find us on social media as well. I am at GregUnchained on Twitter, at TheGregUnchained on Instagram. We collectively are the B+ Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit. The B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Like, share, subscribe, 5-star review if you like what we do. And thank you so much for listening.